got something really special for you today. This is a surprise. We got a gem. We found another gem.
Ooh.
Hi there, this is Captain Q. Join us as we travel hither and yon to show you some great deals on some really interesting boats and maybe learn just a little bit with each one.
Captain!
Randy?
Captain!
Where are you?
What's going on? What are you doing up here?
Oh, hey, you know, this is the Yacht Hunter at heart. I can't help it. It's a Herreshoff boat of some sort. Really pretty lines. She's short draft.
This isn't our boat today?
Oh, no. I've got something really special for you today.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a surprise. We got a gem. We found another gem.
Ooh, I like gems.
Yeah, this is a gem. This is a Endeavor 32, originally designed by Ted Irwin. And it's a little story to that. Do you want to hear the story?
I sure do.
We know about Ted already. He designed race boats originally and then got into cruising boats and so forth. This was an early design of his called an Irwin 32, surprisingly. Two fellas came to him and said, we would like to start a boat business. And he said, well, I'll tell you what. I've got a mold for a 32-footer. I'll give you that mold for a piece of your action. And they said, fine. Now, who were these two guys? Well, one was a fellow named John Brooks. And John ended up working for Irwin at one point, then later ended up being moved out and working for Columbia. It was started by a fellow named Dick Valdez. And Dick had a younger brother named Rob. And when John came out and met Rob at Columbia, they got together. And so they both headed back to Florida. The two of them got together and said, we need a boat. And it got to be very popular. And turned out that after they got the mold, they built over almost 600 of these.
Oh, wow.
So they're all over the place. And
so how is this one of a kind?
this is one of a kind because we have
Two masts.
two masts.
All right.
And they put two masts in there because the first owner wanted to sail a boat across the Atlantic. So he wanted to make certain, it was an interesting concept, but he wanted to make certain he had two masts in case the first one fell over. He'd have one more. But anyway, that's what he did. He went over to Spain, turned around and came back. So this boat has been across the ocean. No question about our blue water capabilities. And then shortly after he did that, he was finished. The present owner of this boat walked in and bought it. So he bought it like 1978 or so, summer 1979. He's had it for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
You know, we don't run into many boats that have been owned for 40 years, do we?
No.
My big question quite often when we get to this point is what?
Is it the original gel coat?
Right, and I can't tell. Fortunately, I had the owner stop by and chat with us for a bit, and you know what he said? This is the same thing that was on it when it came out the day one.
All
That's
right.
the original gel coat.
So why would I, as a boat buyer, why would that matter to me if it's the original gel coat?
Well, first of all, it matters to you because you've got a really nice finish on the boat. You know, you can read the newspaper in the shine to it. It means you're not going to have to paint this boat. And he's obviously waxed it and buffed it, you know, annually or biannually, whatever. Now, the boot top, the blue, this has been painted on, and that's normal because you're going to get down there, you're going to get oil and other stuff in the water bothering that. But that's new, and of course that's a nice job, whoever did that. Let's talk about our bottom here.
Yeah.
It's not ablating right now. That's okay, it's just sleeping. But this has all been blasted.
Soda blasted.
Soda blasted, exactly, just 3 years ago. So you're looking at one coat of bottom paint on here.
Oh, that's great.
And it is great. It's going to be a nice fast hull. They were noted for building boats with the shrouds coming right out to the edge of the hull. And if you notice, there are two bolts here at each shroud point. So these are bolted inside and also through the hull. Now the strain on these tangs here is all in tear, as they say. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we would call that in shear. Yeah.
In shear?
Yep.
I thought it was tear.
Incorrect.
Draft on this is 4 feet 3 inches, I think it is, with a centerboard, and that's a plus for you on the boat. Look, this is really nice walking down here. This feels like a new boat. Propeller, the cutlass bearing, which is this piece right in here, is all in good shape. The owner protests. Nice, clean, 3-bladed prop. And it might be nice to have a folding prop on here, but there's a lot of expense for that. And if you're just cruising, this is also going to help you get in and out of any trouble you might get into. A little more power there. 1-inch stainless steel shaft. Rudder fits into its with its gudgeon right here, so it's supported in two places with the rudder shaft and the gudgeon. On the other side, we're going to take a look on this rudder. There's a little spot of rust coming out, and we'll want to investigate that right here. And something's gotten to it. I think you could grind that out, fill it, and put some paint on it. It'll be good for another 40 years. On the transom here, you'll see a rig here for self-steering gear. The owner has it. He said he hasn't used it much. Nothing to do with the cobwebs here. And this last little tang right here, that actually is where you would hook on the sheet for the mizzen boom.
Oh, yeah.
Mizzen boom is going to come out and has to place the sheet, so it's been rigged to that. So it's a...
What do you think about the bilges?
Oh, the bilges are moderate. They're not terribly flat, and they're slightly relaxed. This ballast on this boat is all internal lead, and it comes right up quite a ways here, so that there is a sump style bilge as a gathering spot for any water that gets into the boat. And
so internal bilge, you mean it's encapsulated, or?
The lead is encapsulated, right.
Yeah.
So there's no lead showing outside here. And he said that's been great. Of course, there's no leaks. There's no worry about the lead dropping down. What do we have here?
Nice little cove stripe.
Nice cove stripe. Molded into the hull. No tape here. We would like to have that. What color?
We prefer gold.
I would think gold would be great. All right, what do you say we head topside?
Yeah, it's about that time.
Okay, I'm going. Randy, come on up, pal.
All right.
Wait till you see this. This is our surprise for the month. It's really a happy surprise. We have to remember that we're on a 32-foot boat. We were just on the Allied Seawind 32, and that was roomy. That was a hefty sea boat. It was a great sea boat. The accommodations were not as accommodating as they might have been. I want you to notice there's a bilge pump right here, right? We like that because that allows the captain to do what?
A little
Two things.
passive pumping once they're just kind of sitting back there doing nothing as they usually do.
Exactly. Let's take a peek back here. We have a really nice garage back here, and sail storage and exhaust lines, radar reflector, cleaning gear, and so on. Here's your backstay coming down from the mainmast, and that's off to one side because, of course, you got this puppy in your way. The gooseneck for this is going to be a little higher on this boat. Do you know why that is? Because of the self-steering gear. Yawls have a problem with self-steering mechanisms because the boom, generally mizzen boom, sticks over the stern. So that's been raised up a little bit to allow the feather self-steering mechanism to wave around behind the boat. We've got a couple of nice Australian Barlow winches here and make a really nice clink to them. You know, listen to that. Isn't that great? That winch has been kept clean and greased. We've got winch handle holders with built-in drains in them. You see that?
That's a nice touch.
That's a very nice touch. There's a cap back here for your 110 shore power, so she's got shore power on the boat. And then on this side, what do we see?
A bit of a shallow locker. It's hard to tell.
God, so good. So good. It's a shallow locker, exactly. Why do we think that's shallow?
Is there really going to be a bunk on a 32-footer?
Yep, there sure is, Jose. Hey, wait till we see this. Now on the other side, you got more big stuff you want to put in there. Now look down in there and look at the woven roving. This is a solidly built boat with all the right material. There's no chopped glass showing there. And that was what was forecast years ago, that these boats were made out of chopped fiberglass. It was a process called MCSF. It's multi-directional chopped strand fiber. It was a gun, so to speak, that would combine resin and chopped strands of fiberglass. And it would get sucked into the gun, shot out, and then you would spray it like you were spraying paint. You go, shh, boom, back, back, back. But when you stop, your little extra stuff goes out there, and then you come back. It's nice and thin here, a little extra here, and so on. So if you weren't really skilled at it, you could end up with highs and lows and a real problem with the layup.
It looks immaculate.
It is immaculate. I mean, it really is. And by the way, I don't know if you can just bend around a little bit here. You see that that locker down, or that bulkhead right there, that's got a couple bolts in it. You unbolt that and you get to the entire back of the engine.
Yep.
Right there, it falls into your lap. The electronics on the boat are minimal. The two Signet Marines on the port side of the bulkhead here, these are antiques, and they probably don't work, or nor will they ever work again. And he just simply left them there because it was nicer than having two holes on the bulkhead. And on the other side, we have a depth sounder and a log. And that log will tell you how far you've gone through the water, which doesn't help you a whole lot. Engine controls here. This is a Yanmar. It has 1,300 hours on it. Now, look at this. What do we have here? This is an insulated locker. What would you put in an insulated locker?
Probably some sodas, maybe a little Frisianette.
I think you could put about 25 pounds of ice in there, and you'd have cold sodas all day long. And when you got to port, you could pop the Frisianette out of there. And major, good size traveler here. This is a no fooling traveler. Really heavy duty. You can lock these things in place anywhere, you see, and then have sail stops for it.
That's pretty great.
Right there, like so. Boom, boom. Now, the guy that went across the Atlantic had a life raft. Current owner does not have a life raft. But you have these blocks up here. Do you know what those are for?
Oh.
You actually, of all people, should know. But I'm going to give you a tip. It has its own sail.
No kidding.
Yep. He's got a Dyer midget dinghy that sits there. That's where the transom sits, right across that, and the bow sits in that chalk right up toward the bow of the boat.
Oh yeah.
So it just sits right over the hatch here. Isn't that cool? And you know what? Get the Dyer dinghy with the boat.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, free. Now here we have a pretty amazing spar. Notice we have climbing steps on these right here, and these are really expensive. That's quite an investment. And when you go to the islands, it's nice to get as high as you can to see the coral heads and to see where you should be driving and should not be driving. There is one little catch here with this mast, though.
Okay.
It's frozen to the mast step.
Ah.
Unfortunately, he neglected to take the spar out for a couple of years in a row, and the aluminum step and the mast, I think, have somehow glued themselves together. I think at the right yard with the right equipment, you'll pop it up and you'll be fine. It's got two eyes here for a whisker pole, which is probably in his garage somewhere. I don't see it right now. And that's for wing and wing, heading off downwind. Let's go look up at the bow. He got very tired of having rusty chains everywhere. So he's installed an entirely stainless steel chain set here. How sweet is that? And something else we don't see very often, this rig right here. This is a sail drive type of system from Hood, and he found that with older systems, sometimes if you let the jib fly out when you release it, these lines can go up and wrap around and jam themselves up in the drum. So what this is, it's actually a drive system. When you let the sail go, the line will just pull itself around this drum, just circle around and come back out and come back to the cock. So it's a one continuous line. It's not a bowsprit for you, Randy, but
no,
it's still nice, you gotta admit.
It's beautiful. If you told me he was a brain surgeon, I think I'd believe you.
Yep. You see there's a slight difference in the color in the deck. He's found some soft spots in the deck down here, and he drilled it and injected it with epoxy resin all through there. He thinks there's a little soft spot.
Okay.
I gave it a Captain Q test.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was a soft spot or just sponginess in my moccasins, but it's certainly not overwhelming. Port lights. Present owner installed these themselves. The original ones, as they did back in those days, were always plastic, and that was fine. They held up. He's put these in. They're beautiful stainless with bulletproof glass in them, and they're immaculate. Handrails everywhere. Boom, boom. And these are kind of nice because they're sort of at an angle too.
Yeah.
So you can sort of sit on them and not feel like you're going to get washed over. See, now I'm sort of caught with it, but I don't have this thing just going right up my backside.
Yep.
On the current racing boat requirements, they want you to have bare wire, right?
Sure.
Now, why do they want you to do that?
Yeah, because it hides the vinyl hides the rust.
The vinyl will hide rust, and that could be a weak point in there. We don't know how many of these strands are broken inside that. So you could grab that one day and be the last thing you grab. I do like the plastic coating because it's a little happier on your hands, but there is a point to having the bare wire. Not too much more to talk about. What do you say we go below?
Yeah, I really want to see this.
Follow me.
All right.
Okay. Come on, now wait a minute, don't come down just yet. I want you to stop for 1 second and just look on the port side of the footwell in the cockpit. What do you see?
Oh yeah, some nice washboard holders.
The owner loves that, and I understand why, because washboards always have this way of sort of floating around the cabin, crashing into things, and usually hitting you on the foot. Ted Irwin, when he laid this thing out or drew it or however he did it, came up with it, just everything is proportionally amazing. The berths are all parallel to the center line of the boat, which means you don't have to worry about rolling off it because there's some cute little curve in it. This berth on this side, this settee, will become a double. There's storage every place. We've got storage lockers here, big storage behind here, nice open shelving here. Also up underneath the overhead, you would see that the overhead here underneath the deck is all screwed in place. So this can be pulled down, and above that you'll find the wiring, a lot of the wiring living in there. So it's not down low in the bilge where some builders used to just run all their wires through the bilge up to the battery and back out again. Well, heck, that's just asking for trouble, isn't it?
Yep.
So up here they're going to be high and dry. And these boats didn't have a nav table, one of the small complaints these days, because everybody wants a navigation table for all their instrumentation. Well, back then you had a pair of dividers and you had a set of parallel rules and so forth, and you could find yourself anywhere you want along with a compass and a depth sounder, no problems. But that being said, you do have a very large table here, just like so, to spread out the current chart map books, right? They'll fit right on that. Now, if you want to go to Denmark, you get out the North Sea chart and lay it right out there, and you're ready to go. And this whole piece will fly up into the air and disappear. So the owner believes in simplicity. He really wanted to keep things simple, because that first thing I noticed, I said, oh, I only see one spigot in the sink, and that is just a freshwater spigot for the tank. You can see the pink coming out. It's winterized right now, and that's it. There's no pressure water on the boat. A couple other things that are missing too. There's no radar and there's no autopilot. We have a nice ice chest here, Randy. It's really good size. No refrigeration. Again, using his simplistic concept. If you don't have it, it won't break. But this is an enormous ice box, and it looks like it's well insulated, I'd guess too. Look at the one finger. I'm moving these back and forth. That's how nicely maintained this has been. You don't have to. A lot of these things get sticky,
Yep.
and you go, it doesn't move.
Is there a way to prevent that, or if you have a boat that is sticky, how do you?
I think you just got to clean it. Maybe a little candle wax or something like that. You spray in there would help it. We have a little cutting board right on top of our 2-burner Arrigo alcohol stove, and we don't have to worry about propane here. We've got alcohol. These things burn really well and generate an awful lot of heat, and it's gimbaled, so it's not going to go anywhere. If you have something like Dinty Moore on board by chance, it'll stay on the stove. I can put my steam kettle right here on the thing here, and I know that there's a little gizmo here. And just fold that down. Look at that. When you take the chart table out, somebody might have wanted to put a chart table in right here. How would you get, we'll say, Captain Q's posterior around that into that berth? Not very easily. So I'm going to try that. Okay, Randy, I just hopped in here. Now, truthfully, it was a little bit of a bend for the big guy, but since I'm here, let me tell you that it's very comfortable. I can see the cockpit from here. These are a little exposed for me. There's a slide here that will allow you to drop this panel down, and that's very neat. Look at that. This is a little tricky. Yeah, no, oh, how wonderful. Look at this. Now, you're going to have a trick getting in here, but I don't know if you can without getting really personal. You can see the whole back end of the engine back in here. You've got great access there. There's a circuit breaker for your shore power. There we go.
All right.
A nice Yanmar 30 horsepower motor. It's just, you got the oil fill here, the dipstick is right back in there. It's all very, very convenient to work on. So this is pretty nice, and there we have more access. What do you think?
Pretty great.
Is that nice? This overhead, I don't understand this. This overhead is 40 years old. Look at the wood inside, it's 40 years old. This hasn't been redone, it's just been maintained. He's got a nice clock, Chelsea clock and barometer. Those often leave the boat. I can't tell you that you're going to get those with a boat. Pretty sizable head, hand pump flush, okay? There's no shower, remember there's no head. Somebody's cleverly designed a place to put the toilet paper up high, so that's not going to get splashed with rainwater, whatever. We're also in a good location here. We saw this angled thing on a couple of other boats, especially that Choi Lee we liked. The aft cabin had the angled head, because you're not going to go anywhere. You're in here locked in, and we have a handle on the other side. We have another foot pump for the single little spigot, storage, Band-Aids. I could use some of those right now.
Maybe even a bigger box.
A bigger box.
'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off.
We got 110 volts in here if you've got a hair dryer and you're parked at the dock and you want to shave or do your hair. Now this head on this particular boat is set up so that everything you pump goes right to a holding tank. Okay, there's no Y valve of any sort. And there's a hand pump right underneath the table where I was sitting before, and it has just a handle just like the bilge pump, and you can see that down there. Do you see that?
Yep.
That's the sort of thing you'd find on a little harbor yacht, $1 million boat. Notice that I've got a little hatch here, a little asp right here.
Yep.
There is no forward door on this boat for the forward stateroom. It's just one more door that's going to take up space and get in your way. Why not just put a curtain across here? I would hang a curtain. So if you want to go, change your shorts and not scare everybody, that's fine. Here's a hanging locker, no door, okay? And there's going to be a line that's going to go inside and just keep things from swinging out. So here we go. This little guy is going to drop right in there. Whoa! Playpen area, right? Hell, I'm 32 feet. What is the matter with this boat? How do they do this? Now I'm looking up at the forepeak up there, where the anchor road is. Look at the anchor road. It's all beautifully stowed, all fresh 3-strand nylon, and we have 2 more beautiful hood. I'm going to call them hood ports for right now because it says hood on them. What do you think?
Yeah.
Can I have a rest now? Can you close the door?
Siesta time.
And let me just snooze out for a bit here.
All right. I'll
Thanks, Randy. Randy.
Hey there.
We have struck gold again. There's gold in them our waters, as they say. I'll tell you, my expectations were fairly low because I sort of remembered some of the rumors about some of these boats back in the 70s when I first got into the business, and they've all been just proven unfounded. This was a fantastic boat. Strong, beautiful, well laid out, clever, meticulously maintained by the present owner. She's a yawl rig. They only made one yawl rig. And that was so the boat could, for all those people wondering, can go transatlantic. And it went from Florida to Spain and back again for the #1 owner. He's the second owner. And on top of that, the price for this boat is insane, I think. So it's quite a boat. I think we should probably rate this boat. What do you think?
I think you should, yeah.
First of all, we get 10 because she floats, right?
Yep.
And after that, the needle just keeps on going up. It has a Ted Irwin heritage. It was built back in the days when they really built solid boats. She's a yawl rig. We like that. I'm going up to your 20 right away. Boom. We're up to 20. And because you liked it so much, I'm going to give it 2 more. We're going to call this puppy a 22.
Nice.
What do you think?
I like it.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Maybe 22.5? Can we go 22? Do we have a 0.5 on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go. Super boat, delightful owner. If anybody wants to chat with him, his information will be down under the Show More button beneath the episode description. This is a super surprise. This is gold in them waters. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. So we're having too good a time doing these things, so you can hit the bell or not. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here,
Yeah.
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes. A little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previews. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
You know, Instagram's not a place.